So you've done it. You went ahead and bought the power meter. Fantastic job, first of all. I know it's a little bit of an investment, especially if you're new into cycling. It can feel like, oh my gosh, what's the point of this? So today we're going to talk about what exactly you can do with a power meter. What are the first steps, the next steps for you as a rider? My name is Ely. I'm a strength coach for cyclists. Keeping the intro short and sweet, let's dive right into it. So power meters measure power. They also measure cadence and force and also the pedal stroke itself, but that's a little bit more advanced stuff that we don't need to worry about. What you do need to worry about is power and cadence. Those are going to be the first things that you look at with a power meter because those numbers tell you a lot about what kind of rider you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, and where you can improve. So first thing to do with a power meter is play around with it. I wouldn't recommend necessarily immediately going and trying to find out what these numbers are and what they do and what they mean. The reason for it is because you just kind of want to collect information beforehand. Collect as much information as you possibly can about how you normally are as a rider. You'll be able to see how sporadic your power normally is. If you're going out and hammering every hill, you'll be able to see how much power you're putting out, and you'll be able to just see patterns in your riding that you wouldn't have picked up with, because this gives you a lot of information, and information is one of the first steps to actually planning. So after you've spent some time, some weeks, maybe even a month or more, just riding with the power meter, then I would recommend two specific tests. Number one is going to be called your FTP test, and number two is going to be called your power profile test. Let's start with the FTP test. The FTP test is what measures your functional threshold power, or in other words, a fancy name for what's the maximum power that you can sustain for 1 hour. It's just another way of saying like you going all out for the hour with your legs burning, how long can you sustain that? If you're interested in the science, it's literally the point to where your anaerobic system starts taking over and thus lactic acid starts to accumulate in your blood. And when lactic acid starts to accumulate, you start feeling that burn, you know, that burn in your legs as you're pedaling. But because your aerobic system is still playing and you are both creating and clearing lactate at the same time and at the same rate, you're able to sustain this for a while. So what the FTP test looks like is a few things, and I'll link a Training Peaks screenshot in case you want to do this yourself. Number one, we'll start with a few fast pedaling intervals, usually 1 minute by 1 minute of rest, so equal intervals, after a warm-up that is. And these intervals allow you to spin the legs really fast and open up your legs to a variety of cadences where you can produce a variety of powers. After that, you get a little bit of rest in your endurance zone, and then you go into a 5-minute all out. The reason for this 5-minute all out is because we really want to empty the tank before the 10 minutes or the 20 minutes of the FTP test. Because let's be honest, doing a 1 hour test is just really exhausting mentally and physically for a lot of people. And so what we do normally for training is break it up into either one 20-minute test, which is still pretty hard, or two 10-minute segments. Thus, in order to get a more accurate idea, we have to exhaust the anaerobic system first. That's where this 5-minute comes into play. Now, it's important to understand that during this test, you're not looking at any power numbers. You're simply operating at RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. So the RPE scale allows you to just feel how your body is feeling, and then you can go ahead and look at the power numbers after, so that you don't skew any data based on what you want or what you think your FTP should be. So after that 5-minute all out at around a 9 RPE, you go ahead and chill for 5 minutes, very soft, easy pedaling. Take this time very chill, because you're about to go into your 8 out of 10, either 20-minute lactate threshold test or 2 by 10 minutes. So you break it up in half. So go ahead and you do that test, you do the 10 minutes, you take another 10-minute break, very easy pedaling, and do the 10 minutes again, or you do the 20 minutes and pace yourself. That's really important. A lot of us go too hard out the gate. Instead, you want to go hard enough that around 2.5 minutes in, your legs start burning, but you're able to maintain that for the whole effort. And after that, you're done, you cool down. Then you can go ahead and look at the numbers. If you did a 20-minute test, it's really easy to calculate your FTP. You go ahead and take your average power for that 20 minutes, not your normalized power, your average power, and multiply it by 95%. That number is going to be what you can sustain for an hour, or pretty close to what you can sustain for an hour. If you did the two 10-minute tests, you'll take the average of those two. So literally 200 plus 200, if you did a perfect average for that, divided by 2, and then take that and multiply it by 0.95. And then from there, you're able to put together your training zones, which we'll go through at the end of this video. The second test that you can do is called the power profile test. And this allows us to see what your strengths and weaknesses are as a rider. Are you more short, explosive strength based, or are you more of a long endurance strength based? And so it allows us to see what you are good at and what we need to train. So to perform this test, we're going to be doing a few things. Number one is our warm up, of course. And after the warm up, you enter into the fast pedals, just like we did before, 3 times 1 minute by 1 minute. And that again allows you to open up your legs to a variety of cadences and produce power in them. After that, you're going to have 5 minutes of threshold. This is also going to serve as priming the system, another warm up. So again, this workout is also based at RPE, so 8 out of 10 RPE. If you're working on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this is nothing, 10 being I'm dying, you're at an 8. Then you have 5 minutes of recovery, easy spinning. Then you're going into the first hard effort, which is the 1 minute all out. Now I recommend starting this just 2 or 3 seconds earlier and ending it around 2 or 3 seconds later. So you're actually doing about 1 minute and 6 seconds, because if you look at just your 1 minute, the first 3 or 4 seconds will just be you going up and the last 3 seconds will be you going down. And so you're actually getting 50-second power, which what are you going to do with a 53-second power if you're able to produce more? So go a little bit harder for a little bit longer, and that will give you your first 1 minute all out time. Go as hard as you can for this. If you're doing this right, it's gonna hurt. After that, recover. Easy spinning at a 1-2 RPE, and just get your heart rate down for 10 minutes. Then we're doing a 5 minute all out. The 5 minutes are also really hard, but pace yourself. A lot of us go too hard out the gate and then end up exploding at that 2.5-3 minute mark. The 5 minute is very mentally draining, but hang in there. Keep this one at around a 9 RPE, because you can't do a 10 the whole 5 minutes. 9 RPE for the entire thing. For the last 1 minute or 45 seconds, just dial in and go hard. Then you have another 10-minute break. You repeat the 1 minute all out 2 more times, just in case the number was skewed the first time. More number, the better. The more data, the better. And then you go for 2 15-second all-out sprints. So as hard and as quick and as forceful and as fast as you possibly can, putting insane pressure in the pedals. And then you cool down. So what did this test tell us? It gave us your power numbers. And these power numbers are what we are able to see and measure as you progress. We're able to see your 5-second power, which tells us how good of a sprinter you are. And also your 1 minute power, showing your anaerobic system, your glycolytic system. Also telling us how good of a sprinter you are, or how good you are at those short punchy climbs. There's your 5 minute power, indicating your VO2 max and how strong you are in that aerobic and anaerobic zone as well. And then you have your FTP, which is your 20-minute and 1 hour power. And so all these numbers together help you to put your training zones together. These zones based on these power numbers that you can train in to improve at a specific thing. Because you probably already know if you try to do everything, you're not going to improve at any one thing. And so zone number 1 is your active recovery zone. Active recovery is from 0% of your FTP to 56% of your FTP. And in this zone is literally the easy zone. You are chilling, you're kind of pedaling, not really, you're recovering, literally what it means. Then you have your endurance zone, or what is commonly referred to as zone 2, 56 to 75% of your FTP. And in this zone, there's a lot that's going on. You're able to maintain it for a long time. You're able to produce more mitochondria and clear lactate, and it's just able to hold this for a while. This is where a lot of our volume comes in this zone, because you're making your body more efficient at burning fat. Then you have your tempo zone, 76 to 90% of your FTP, or some people say 76 to 88. In this zone, you are working harder than you are in endurance, but not quite at your FTP. And so you're able to maintain it, but the intensity is a little bit higher. This zone is great when you don't have a lot of time, or this is a common zone when you're in your group rides. You're normally pushing this zone. Then you have, we'll keep it simple. We won't talk about sweet spot or anything like that, or FRC or Pmax, but let's just say you have your threshold. Now this is that 1 hour power, 96 to 105% of your FTP. Everything in that range is lower threshold and upper threshold, but that is your threshold and what you can maintain. This is a difficult zone, but you can also maintain it. So I think it's a little bit more mentally challenging. Then you have your VO2 max. So this is 105 to 120% of FTP. So you're pushing harder, your lungs are working harder to clear out the lactate, to provide oxygen to the muscles, to clear out all this junk that is being created in there. And then finally, keeping it simple, you have your anaerobic capacity, which is the ability to sustain any level of power above your FTP, 120% to unlimited percent for any amount of time. This is also called functional reserve capacity. I have a whole video about that if you're interested. And so by understanding what these zones are, you can put together a plan. You can even download a plan on Training Peaks, on Strava, or from anywhere free, or you can put together your own plan, or a coach can put together a plan that is optimally suited for you now that you have these numbers. So Power is incredible to provide you with the optimal plan for you, giving you information, giving you numbers, and giving you what you need to get you to the next level as a cyclist. I hope this was insightful. If you're interested in diving deeper into your training, into cycling, without something that's going to cost you an arm and a leg, like most things in cycling often do, go ahead and join my free group. It's called Ride with Purpose, completely for free. There's literally no risk to get involved, and I'm putting training like this every single day in the group. You can click the link in the bio. Otherwise, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next time.